Welcome to Plan9Crunch. My name is Doug Gibson, and today we're doing a random B or C movie review. We're doing The Hypnotic Eye from Allied Artists in 1960. What I love about these 50s and early 60s movies, genre cult movies, is that they sometimes seized upon something that was in the news. Remember there were like reincarnation movies? The Bride and the Gorilla is one, I think, and this is hypnosis and sort of like con games going on. So the hypnotic eye involves a bunch of women who are doing self-destructive things to themselves. The opening scene is pretty intense, where a woman suddenly just walks into a room and puts something on her hair and then inflames it and starts screaming. And there's a detective named Dave who's investigating this. And he and his girlfriend, Marcia, go see a magician hypnotist named Desmond. And Desmond is like the rage of the town. He hypnotizes the audience and things like that. And so Dave is all skeptical of it. Marcia is more thinking it's okay. And so Marcia gets hypnotized. But then she stops herself from being fully hypnotized, and the guy's giving her like suggestions to do bad things. So Marcia thinks, okay, tells Dave, this guy may be the guy behind this. And Desmond has an assistant named Justine, and she's gorgeous. She's played by Allison Hayes, who was a starlet of B movies of that time. And you probably remember Allison Hayes best in the film the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. She was also in a couple episodes of Gomer Pyle, and she was in a whole bunch of genre movies, voodoo movies also. So I want to show you, to get a better idea of what we're talking about here, I want to show you a very campy trailer of The Hypnotic Eye that was used originally, and then we can talk a little bit more about it. Jack, can you show us that trailer now?
The opportunity to experience the sensation of hypnosis, to cross the dark, mysterious threshold of your own unconscious mind. And now, if you dare, look into the hypnotic eye.
The hypnotic eye. No one was safe against it.
There's the opening scene.
Attractive, some even beautiful. Each one of them mutilated herself in some crazy way. They can't all be accidents. Your body is growing stiff and rigid. Your flesh is turning to stone. You are turning to stone.
The hypnotic eye. Terror loose in the city streets. Reaching from the plush nightclubs to the beat joints' bongo beat. A strange animal magnetism that drives women to do things hidden deep within their subconscious, and bringing violence and mutilation and death to the innocent.
What is more pleasant than a cool, refreshing shower? Get into the shower, Marcia. Get into the cool, cool shower.
The terrible power of hypnosis used for satanic evil. A spell impossible to resist, ending in unspeakable torture.
I command you to see the hypnotic eye.
What was that called? Hypno Magic, where they're going like this. It's a pretty goofy scene, and they had all kind of gimmicks like that. William Castle was the main guy. Remember the buzzer under the seats for the tingler and stuff like that. This movie is sort of a goofy plot when you really think about it. Allison Hayes, his beautiful assistant, is actually the one maneuvering all this. She gets Desmond to hypnotize these women to fall under his spell and do things that destroy their beauty. And you find out near the very, very end of the movie why Allison Hayes wants this to happen. There's an actress in the film, not the main actress who plays Marcia, but her friend Dodie, named Mary Anders. And Dodie is someone who puts acid on her face, survives the attack, and periodically they go back to talk to her to try to figure out how she got in the situation. Mary Anders had an interesting career. She was in some other genre, low-budget cult films. One of them was House of the Damned. One was The Time Travelers. And probably she's best known as policewoman Dorothy Miller in the first 3 seasons of Dragnet, the reboot. So this film was pretty popular. And Jacques Bergerac, who played Desmond, didn't really do much more in the industry, but this is the kind of film people enjoyed seeing. It's the kind of film that was very popular in those years before they started getting more into sci-fi in the 60s and things like that. Horror took a little bit of a break in the early 60s, and eventually came back. And horror would come back in the late 60s in a more modern sense, because you had films like Night of the Living Dead and Rosemary's Baby. The Hypnotic Eye is an era when horror was still more of a, for lack of a better term, family-friendly thing, where you had your definite good people and bad people, and there weren't these kind of debates over it's kind of these layers of different whether something was good or bad. There were some films in the 40s that did that, particularly RKO, but mainly we're still in a simple era where people would sit down and see good eventually triumph over evil at the end of a film. And so that's our B&C movie review for today, The Hypnotic Eye. It's not difficult to find, and it certainly is worth an hour and 19 minutes of your time. I'm Doug Gibson at Plan9Crunch. Remember, we're at YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook, and we have a blog, plan9crunch.com. Thank you very much for listening, and that's a wrap.